doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
I wanted to ask you about your conversations with world leaders today. You said that everybody is unified over your plan, but we heard from President Sisi calling for a two-state solution and independent Palestinians.
You're talking about a different plan. I'm talking about something very much different. We're talking about rebuilding Gaza. I'm not talking about single state or double state or two-state. We're talking about the rebuilding of Gaza.
What's the road ahead for governing Gaza?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, a lot of people like the one-state solution. Some people like the two-state solution. So we'll have to see. I haven't commented on that.
How do you see bridging that gap? Because you have the Arab countries.
At some point, I'll decide what I think is right, but I'd be in coordination with other states and other countries.
Yeah, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country. She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say.
Just 2 days and we are through. Then we start from the beginning. Hashem's holy words begin anew. We all have come to help Hatzalah, and we want to help it thrive. Based right here in God's holy city. Throughout this land, it's saving lives. Sweet home, Yerushalayim. Yeah! Where God's words ring so true. Sweet home, Yerushalayim. Lord, I'm coming home to you. Well, friends and friends don't think it's Jewish. The United Nations call us crooks. But Donald Trump claims it's all Israel. Just as it says in all the holy books. Yeah! Sweet home, Yerushalayim. Where God's words ring so true. Sweet home, Yerushalayim. Lord, I'm coming home. Many say we have no capital, though we're here for 3,000 years. But Yerushalayim is eternal, where the U.S. Embassy appears. Everybody, sweet home Yerushalayim. Come on, where God's words ring so true. I can't hear you. Sweet home Yerushalayim. Let's let them do it again. Are you ready? I can't hear you guys. Let's do this again. Sweet comedian, Sweet Home Jerusalem.
For
Thank
example,
you.
China would move against Taiwan. It's highly likely that China will force the junior partner in that relationship, being Russia, under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, to move against NATO here, to keep us busy. For all these reasons, we have to make sure that we work as strongly together with them. And then on the hybrid threats, this is, of course, a big worry, and we are working on it. Russia's military is stretched there and elsewhere. Its Mediterranean task force was once a mix of surface ships, submarines, and support vessels. Now, in effect, there is hardly any Russian naval presence in the Mediterranean left. There is a lone and broken Russian submarine limping home from patrol. What a change from the 1984 Tom Clancy novel, The Hunt for Red October. Today, it seems more like the hunt for the nearest mechanic. Is that they are saying, if a plane would pose a threat, we have the authorities to do, if necessary, the ultimate. But if the plane is not posing a threat, we are not going to shoot it down. Then we will gently guide it outside the airspace. This is exactly what they should do. And I totally agree with that approach, because we are so strong. Proportional response. It's proportional response, exactly. And we are so much stronger than the Russians. We don't have to take down Russian airplanes because they enter our airspace. We do it if they enter our airspace and also pose a threat. If we were weak, you might maybe think, okay, we are weak, so we have to immediately show them that whenever they enter our airspace, we shoot them down. But if they don't pose a threat, being so much stronger than the Russians, I think it is much stronger that our reaction is as it is, proportionate, and of course making clear to the Russians that we are not too happy about these incursions. Sometimes make this joke that when you buy an F-35 or a Patriot system, this is the old Russian joke about the Lada and the refrigerator, that the Lada guy will tell you it will arrive in 10 years, and then the reaction is in the morning or the afternoon. Why is it relevant? Well, in the afternoon the refrigerator will arrive. That airspace is not the same as ground. There's a big difference, militarily, but also politically. Please take that into account. And the only thing I'm encouraging all of us is to take comfort in the fact that as NATO, we are 25 times bigger than the Russian economy. Our military is infinitely superior to the Russian military. When it comes to our air force, I mean, the Russians cannot even stand in the shadow with these MiG-31s or whatever they call them, with their not well-trained fighter pilots.
Welcome back to the SCIF. What do you guys think? Do you think Adelson is more pro-Israel than the U.S.? But my question is, what about Mike Huckabee, Ambassador Huckabee, who's playing Sweet Home Jerusalem instead of Sweet Home Alabama? That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That's why I played it. It has nothing to do with Israel. It has to do with people not putting America first. And if there's ever a situation that it's Mike Huckabee. So I found that disgusting. That's why I played it. And you saw the insanity from the EU, the Rutte, who's the head of NATO, actually talking about how ridiculous the Russian Federation's military is. They really want a war. They really, really, really want a nuclear war with Russia. I don't. It's insanity that you can't really understand it unless you realize that these are globalist Satanists, essentially, who want to destroy civilization across the board. So I don't know any other way to put that. Want to say hello to the people in the chat. Thanks for getting going. It's already going this morning. Love the engagement. It is really great. Thanks for the long weekend. We took a day off yesterday because we've been working like crazy, and we have been all night. I want to say check out whatfinger.com, great aggregator site after you look at cdm.press, of course. We've got a big show today. The Christians are saying it's our turn in the Middle East. We've got Dr. Naji Hayek, who is from the Free Patriotic Movement in Beirut, where I'll be again with them in a couple weeks. And we'll be talking about the preserving Christianity really around the world, but especially in the Middle East. And, I was watching Tucker and Alex Jones last night, which we may play a little of later in the show. But he said the Rwandan genocide was essentially a Christian genocide. I didn't realize that. And, I learned something in that interview. Fantastic interview, by the way, if you want to listen to it. But about really what's happening in the world right now, Tucker and Alex Jones, it came out last night. I did not realize that the majority of the Tutsis who were killed in the genocide in Romania or Rwanda were Christians. That's a whole nother level of what we're talking about. And it shows you how long this has been going on. So we are fighting back against it. We have to build community. We have to call out what's going on around the world. And we're going to do that in the Middle East coming up. So we've got Dr. Naji Hayek coming up from Beirut shortly. And second segment, we've got attorney Seth Woodall, who's going to talk about the Jay Jones situation in Virginia. He's an attorney out of North Carolina, very knowledgeable on a lot of these subjects. We're also going to talk about Sharia law across the U.S. Big show. I want to play a little bit on finance because there's so much going on in the finance world. David Cross, we're going to play some of him over the weekend on the Georgia show, talking about finance, where we are, what's happening in the markets, because the Trump comments really rattled, especially the crypto market. It was the biggest liquidation ever in crypto. So we'll be right back. Thanks for joining us on the SCIF. We'll be back after this break with so much to talk about. Stand by.
Can I ask a question about the nicotine pouches?
Yes.
Does it melt in your mouth, or do you have to spit it out later?
You can spit it out, you can swallow it, or you just savor it. I mean, you throw it in like you would a dip of tobacco.
Okay.
But you just let it sit there, and then it suffuses your nervous system with life-giving nicotine. And it really does feel like the hand of God is massaging you.
But does it feel like the high of smoking a cigarette?
It's simultaneously, if you can imagine the Zen paradox, higher alertness accompanied by deep relaxation.
Wow.
So you really are. It's a Zen experience. You're like cat-like in your readiness, but you're fully
And how long does it last?
I always have one going. Sometimes if things are, if I need it, I'll put another one in. So I've got 18 milligrams of nicotine, but that gives me an unfair advantage.
You're banging 18 milligrams? Woo. That's impressive.
I don't like to, because everybody else kind of recedes into the background and I become this kind of colossus when I do that, and I feel guilty about it. Hubris is inevitable at that point. So I usually keep it to one.
I mean, I could use a new addiction.
Oh, yes.
What's the gateway drug level? What would you prescribe?
This sits between caffeine
We
and
sell a
cocaine.
3 milligram, but there's a transition, like all great addictions. Like, it's not instant. You do vomit at first, but then your body acclimates.
Wait is finally over. My towels are back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And that's not all. Check out our My Pillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, now only $29.88. And how about our limited edition premium My Pillows, made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset, made exclusively for you to thank you for all your support. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for $39.98, My Pillow bed sheets only $29.88, and our limited edition My Pillow Queens $17.98 and Kings only $19.98. Quantities won't last long, so order now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I was just told that Seth Woodall, attorney Seth Woodall, is going to join us here shortly. He Just got out of court, so he's on his way. Let's talk about a few stories. Actually, let's do the mission brief real quick. Today is October 14th. Here's your mission brief. I'm your host, Todd Wood. Extremists on both sides of the story try to tank the Gaza peace deal. You got Israelis and Hamas trying to say, "Oh no, we didn't agree to this," and let's get the fighting going again. So that's going to be something Trump's going to have to deal with, that because it's coming from both sides. Tomahawk madness. Wow. I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, these are nuclear capable missiles, and you're going to give them to a criminal who has laundered billions of U.S. tax dollars and who has hurt the Ukrainian people by not taking care of them and not ending this war. You're going to give him nuclear tipped missiles to attack the largest nuclear country in the world. That makes a hell of a lot of sense, doesn't it? We'll talk about that. Silver short squeeze in London. The silver markets are on fire. Why is that, and what's going on? Again, something you need to know about. GOP revenge in Georgia. There was a big convention, which we've covered heavily, where the Frost family, the Ponzi political party in Georgia, which stole $140 million from its customers in a Ponzi scheme and is still in power in Georgia, which is actually a story in itself, is going after those who have called them out and are activating against the Georgia GOP, which is completely corrupt and tyrannical. A story you need to know about. And New York City Department of Education at Comic-Con is putting out comics that talk about revolution and Marxism. This is the New York City Department of Education. We broke this story, and we'll dig into it. Let's talk about a few of those stories. Here is, and we're waiting on attorney Seth Dillon to come on. So let's talk about this one, which is, Dear Trump, someone who starts World War III shouldn't get a Nobel Peace Prize. I put this out over the weekend. Zelensky says Tomahawks will strike Russian energy facilities. Okay, so Zelensky came to Trump. They had a big meeting. Trump's made a big deal of it. I may give him Tomahawks. I'm going to give him Tomahawks. I'm thinking about giving him Tomahawks. These are long-range cruise missiles that can strike, thousands of kilometers and are launched from ships and submarines. And so, first of all, how are you going to launch them? Are the Americans going to launch them? Are they going to use our ships? We're already giving them intelligence to strike Russian energy facilities across the country. What are we going to do with these Tomahawks? And Russian President Medvedev, former President Medvedev, came out and said, I'll just read to you what he said. Trump said that the president of Russia does not resolve the Ukrainian conflict. It will end badly for him, threatening the 101st time, basically. If the business peacemaker is talking about Tomahawks, then the phrase is incorrect. The delivery of these missiles could end badly for everyone, and first and foremost for Trump himself. So there you go. We'll talk about that more. I've got, looks like I got Seth Woodall in the green room. Oh, Seth, I caught you a little early, man. You all right?
Yes, sir. Just got in. I apologize. I didn't realize we were going to start at 10:15, so no problems at all.
No worries. Look, glad to have you on the show. Thanks for reaching out. Your team brought me a couple issues. First of all, is the Virginia situation with Jay Jones. I mean, this is out of control, man. I mean, what the guy's threatening his opposition, and the Democratic Party all the way up to the top leadership is still supporting him. I mean, what say you?
Well, I think what they're doing flies in the face of reason and common sense. If there is no place for political violence in our country, and we've seen more shootings, more calls for violence than ever before in history. And to think that somebody like Mr. Jones, at the point in his career, the spotlight that he has on him, would say anything such as what he said concerning his political adversaries and law enforcement. He should be one of the biggest supporters and promoters of law enforcement in his home state. But, he said that maybe if more police officers were shot, then maybe less shootings would occur. And it's just hard to fathom why somebody in his position would say that. And it's even harder to fathom why leaders around him have not condemned him completely, but in fact have supported him. So, I think we just need to, conservatives, we just need to look at what's going on around us and make changes. And we need to stand up for changes. And it's sick, really. It's sick to call upon political violence against your political adversaries, especially in today's environment.
So we've got a situation across the country where you've got essentially a revolution that's been organized, paid for, funded, well-funded, down at the local level, all the way up to the national level, going after ICE, going after people trying to enforce the law. What do you see? You're in North Carolina, am I correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So what are you seeing on the ground there in North Carolina? Do you have some of this, I guess, civil unrest happening in your area of the woods?
Not a lot. So I'm in a pretty rural area, pretty conservative, so we don't see a lot of that. But some of the bigger municipalities or biggest counties like Durham County, Wake County, Mecklenburg County, there's been some protests, things of that nature. I don't think there's been any significant violence, but there has been some protests. Now, where we are seeing more of the civil unrest is at college campuses, at universities across the state. And I think our leadership needs to take into account what's happened at the university level over the last 30 years, but they have just infiltrated and indoctrinated our children coming out of high school in their most impressionable years when they're just moving out of their homes, and just instilled these liberal ideals that really make no sense to us conservatives, but it is truly a belief of the university students. So I think our leaders need to get a hold of that, because North Carolina has one of the greatest university systems historically in the nation. But if we don't get ahead of this, it's really going to be a problem.
Well, you mentioned in North Carolina, it's a real business sector. I mean, you got the banking triangle there. You got so much, and I'm not sure your focus of practice, but how is the financial sector, in your opinion, operating in a lot of this turmoil in North Carolina?
In North Carolina, we're not seeing as much turmoil as we are, say, in Illinois or in California. We are a huge business state. I think out of the last 3 out of 4 of the last years, we've been ranked by U.S. News as the best state for business. So our local politicians at the state level, our state legislatures, have done a great job over the last 15 to 20 years of really creating a business-centered environment for businesses to come here, and it's truly worked. So we're a phenomenal state for business. I haven't seen anything with the financial sector. We still have one of the largest presences of banking industry in North Carolina, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of retaining that. But again, our leaders need to know that if we continue to allow this slippery slope that we now call the current culture in the United States of America, it could certainly impact North Carolina.
Let's move on to another subject, which I think you have some expertise in. The Sharia law outbreak across the country is fascinating. You see it in Dearborn, Michigan. You see it in Texas. I don't know about North Carolina, but it is creeping because you have this demographic change, and then they bring in obviously their culture and legal system. How do I guess indigenous Americans fight this? Well,
we see some politicians in the GOP, the Republican leaders in Congress, who are actually proposing legislation that would basically ban anybody that adheres to Sharia law. And if you look at what's happened in Europe over the last 2 years, I mean, we need to take a page out of their book, and we need to realize that if some major changes are not made, they will infiltrate our community, and they have no problem raping, stealing, looting, killing. That is their culture. That is their mindset. And biblically, they believe that if they don't kill us, then they're not doing the job that their God put them here for. So I think we need to stand firm as conservatives in this nation. And, I have no problem with the GOP saying that if you're going to adhere to Sharia law, then you don't need to be here in the United States. It is clear, it is abundantly clear that our founding fathers believed that our country could only survive if it was based upon biblical principles and morality. And when you remove those principles from our system of government, we see what now has become the United States of America. So, what I'll say is we need to treat this as a wake-up call for all leaders. We need leaders who are going to stand up, they're going to be strong, make the hard decisions, and make sure that our people, our citizens, are protected.
Last question. What's the lingering effects of the hurricane last year? Do you feel that in what part of North Carolina are you in?
So I'm in the central part of the Piedmont area, kind of in the foothills. So, Hurricane Helene just decimated the western part of this state. And unfortunately, at that time, Roy Cooper was our governor, and then our new governor took office this January. And quite frankly, both of those guys are pretty liberal Democrats here in this state. And I think they've done a poor job President Trump has come here a couple of times. We've got some great leaders in Congress who have done everything they could to pass legislation to assist. I was up in Buncombe County probably about 2 months ago, and it's still just areas of downtown Asheville are just absolutely destroyed. So
yeah,
I think our local leaders and our GOP leaders at the congressional level are doing the best they can, but they're fighting the Democrats on the funding, basically daily. But it's getting better, but there's still a lot of damage.
Yeah, we were there right after it. It was horrific. I'd never seen anything like it. It
looked like a third world country when it happened.
Yeah, amazing. Seth, thank you so much. I'd like to have you back down the road.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
All right, take care. Bye.
I'm a naturopathic doctor. We are in the world of medicine very acquainted with many modalities, but probably the one most familiar with everybody would be two things: homeopathy and herbs, maybe some nutrients too, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing. Now, we do know a lot about the drugs because we have to find out what drug you're taking affects you and what nutrient it depletes you of, because most every drug pharmacy product will deplete something. So we have been trained and we have a database that we can check into that says this is going to take your B12 away. The pharmaceutical company cannot patent organic substances made by the body. You're not born short of Advil. You're not born short of Ritalin.
Yeah.
You can be born short of insulin, right? Mm-hmm. The answers to staying healthy and keeping away from even SARS or any of those things getting into you is staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You and I get sick because our terrain gets out of balance. Well, that's the same thing in the soil. You and I are made from this thing called dirt. And when we get out of balance, we have the same thing happen. Weeds start to grow in our body. Right? And that's what we want in our body. We want nutrients that we don't understand how to get well enough yet because our suppliers are lacking knowledge on nutrient density foods.
So this is what drove you to develop this, was your knowledge of this, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know that.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I want to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors. One, mypillow.com. If you go to mypillow.com and use promo code CDM, you get the best discounts. That's promo code CDM. Spend some time on the website. Mike's got a lot of stuff there. And I just want to highlight one thing that I love. I travel all the time. And if you go to the mattress toppers, these things are amazing. So if you're looking for something for that someone who has everything, wow, they just completely change your bed. It literally is a new bed that you just can't wait to get in when you're exhausted in the middle of the night. So And if you travel, you want to get back to it. I can tell you that from my own experience. So go to mypillow.com, use promo code CDM. This is just one idea, but Mike has so much stuff there. If you got, Christmas is coming, you got to fill that stocking. You got to get the gift. Find something that you will give someone who will just light up their face because it's high quality. I've done this before in I have a daughter and I gave her, I think, a set of towels that were just fantastic. Her face lit up and she's like, wow, love this for the house. So anyway, just a great idea. Go to mypillow.com, use promo code CDM. And also Nucleo Boost. You saw that, which is our nutrition program with John B. Wells and his team. CDM Nutrition is where you can find everything about this. It fills in all the potholes in your body so that you can be so that you can fight disease. So when the next disease comes along, you have everything in your body to fight it. And Nucleo Boost has been a great product lineup addition for us. Go to cdmnutrition.com. Look at the subscription monthly, which is cheaper. So cdmnutrition.com. Now, I sat down, as you know, Christians and fighting for the safety and security and sustainability of the Christian populations around the world has become one of our big main topics. So we're going to be in Beirut again. We were just there. We were just in Armenia, but we're going back to Beirut here in a couple of weeks. We will be meeting with all of the Christian groups there in Beirut, and we'll be doing some fantastic reporting because there's a big movement to focus on them for once. We focused on everybody else in the region, the Sunni, the Shia, the Israelis, the Turks, the Kurds. What about the Christians? When's the last time you heard somebody stand up and say, you know what, we really need to take care of the Christians in the Middle East? Have you heard that anywhere recently? I seriously doubt it. If you have, it good for you, but it hasn't been screamed from the bully pulpit in the United States, especially. So we're going to start screaming for the Trump administration on the issue of Christian sovereignty, really, in the Middle East on their own land, and that is Lebanon. Lebanon was the first Christian country, and it was there from the beginning. Christ literally walked around on the ground in Lebanon. So I sat down with Dr. Naji Hayek, who is the number 2 in the Free Patriotic Movement in Lebanon, which is one of the largest Christian parties, and good friend of the show. And we're going to talk with him, and you'll hear more as we go to Lebanon to discuss all of this. I'm back with Dr. Naji Hayek with the Free Patriotic Movement in Beirut, Lebanon. Sir, thank you for joining me again. I appreciate your time.
Good evening, sir. God bless you. And God bless America.
Yes, yes. I wanted to talk with you because we just had the meeting in Egypt where President Trump and a lot of international leaders signed the deal with Gaza. There's a lot of Arab involvement and other nations, Turkey, etc. But there's a whole nother, so we got that conflict settled, but there's still a problem with the Christians in Lebanon. So I thought it was an opportunity to talk to you and kind of get an update of what's happening in country.
I think, the Christians in Lebanon are happy at this point. They're happy because one peace deal at a time. First, we congratulate both parties for achieving this peace deal. It's a good start, and the good thing about it is lots of Arab and Muslim countries were involved, and they were there in Egypt to sign this peace deal or to attend this, which means they gave their blessings. And giving them their blessings is a good start, and hopefully this whole thing will end up quite nicely, just like the Israeli and the Palestinian people wanted to end. I hope so. Obviously, putting aside all these extremists that are very trigger happy, and that all that they want is to go to war and to kill and kill and kill in the name of God, whereas God, my God, your God, is the God of love and is the God of peace. So I hope so. Now, to go back to your questions, when it comes to the Christians of Lebanon, the Christians of Lebanon have a serious problem here. The main problem is, we have spoken about it before, is that we have different factions in Lebanon. Some of them are backed by Syrians, some of them are backed by Iranians, and all these people, many of them are extremists. All these people hold guns. And what they do is, whenever they cannot threaten you physically, they cannot threaten to eliminate you, They do it quietly is by trying to buy land in your areas, and by trying to infiltrate your people, and by trying to take some of the powers that the Christians had. I don't know if people know that in 1990, we had a huge war that had started in 1975 between the government of Lebanon and the presidency of Lebanon that is always headed by a Christian. The Lebanese president has to be Christian. The war started with the Palestinians and Syrians, and backed by many of the Arab countries. The simile ISIS of the 70s and the 80s. Unfortunately, this war ended in 1990. Was what we call the Taif Agreement, the Taif Agreement that happened in Saudi, and that stripped the Christian president of his powers. What you need to know is that the United States blessed this agreement, and the Arab countries blessed this agreement. It's a shame that it happened, but it did happen. And on this day, today, on the 13th of October, 1990, the Syrian army was given the green light by the Arab countries, the United States, and Israel to invade the Christian area. So they attacked us, and we collapsed. The legal government that was headed at that time by the interim prime minister that had all the powers of the president of the republic, because there was a void in the seat of the presidency. We could not elect a president. So back then, General Michel Aoun, who was fighting these Syrians, fighting these Palestinians, and fighting many people that came to invade Lebanon, his government collapsed on the 13th of October, and we got invaded. And this is when our community started going down. As a matter of fact, we started 100 years ago by Lebanon being 60 or 70% Christians, to at times now when Lebanon is maybe 35 or 40% Christian, just because of the demography, just because in 1993, the prime minister that was later assassinated, Rafiq Hariri, gave the Lebanese citizenship to 300,000 or 400,000 non-Christians and Syrians and Palestinians illegally, did that illegally just to play with the demography. So since that time, the Christians have been under fire. And I think the free world, especially the United States of America, who is seeking peace everywhere, and especially President Trump, who is looking to establish peace. There is no real peace in the Middle East unless people are really given the rights and people are treated equally, which hasn't happened in the situation of the Christians of the whole Middle East. Look at what happened to the Christians of Iraq. There's practically nobody left. There used to be 1.5 million, maybe now they have 100,000 Christians. Syria is the same thing. They had 2-3 million Christians. I don't know about these figures, but I know that maybe 80% of the Christians in Syria have fled. Now the Lebanese Christians have been bleeding, but our situation is better because according to the constitution, the Lebanese president has to be Christian. The commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the army has to be Christian. The head of the Federal Reserve has to be Christian, and the head of the equivalent of the CIA has to be Christian, which is kind of protective to our community. But still, the president lost much of his powers, and at the same time, we lost land, we lost influence in the country because many people left. And people that leave, they usually blend in the countries where they go. People that go to America become Americans and they just leave.
Yeah.
So this is a problem that has to be solved. We have a demographic problems, obviously due to the natalities, but we are also under constant fire no matter what anybody says, all these people that start talking about not mixing religion with the governance and with government, they all do that. And everything that happens here, or at least most of it, happens because somebody wants to get rid of the Christians, or somebody wants to, to strip Christians and Christian representation. So this is the way it is. One solution would be to make Lebanon instead of Lebanon being having a central government, hopefully having a decentralized government or even a federal state, something like this would be a good solution where people can be safe in their areas. So the diversity of Lebanon is a factor of richness, but at the same time, sometimes it can be a curse instead of it being a blessing, because unfortunately, people do not act and believe the same. And some people do not believe in democracy. Some people believe in doing what they want to do because they got some holy orders or instruction or supremacy. And they do that here all the time.
So we talked before, and I know you're I would say maybe not close to the Trump administration, but you know them and have conversed with them. Are you? Has anything changed with Tom Barrack and Ortegas, or any? Are they saying, okay, we're going to focus on the Christians now, or are they? Are you coming up on the in the inbox to the top? I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Well, we are trying, because there are many Lebanese people that are in the surroundings and in the close to the President Trump's establishment. So that helps a bit. One of them is the father of his son-in-law, who Dr. Massad Boulos, who works closely with President Trump, and who we know and who I know personally very well. And we try to help. At this point, they have been talking about reestablishing the state of law in Lebanon, because, as you know, we have a militia called the Hezbollah that has been armed, and this militia has been armed since 1982, maybe, and they're totally funded, and they get their weapons from Iran. They went to war with Israel, and they took a big blow after this war. And now the main aim of the Trump administration and the main aim of the Lebanese government and the Lebanese president is for them to surrender their weapons. But they're not doing it easy, because they think they're entitled to hold their weapons because they call themselves the resistance. And now the Lebanese government has explicitly asked them to lay down their weapons and to surrender the weapons to the Lebanese army. So this is where the President Trump's administration has started, and hopefully after that they will work on a decentralized Lebanon that will help give the Christians of Lebanon some kind of a safe haven. Or rights, not a safe haven per se.
Last question. There were reports of a Christian state being discussed inside the White House. Have you heard anything about that, and what would be your thoughts about that?
Well, we heard about all this many times, and we've been hearing about this many times throughout the past 50 years. As a matter of fact, my uncle was in the 70s and the 80s. Dr. Eli Sadie of Youngstown, Ohio. He was born in the U.S. and born and raised American, and he worked a lot with the different administrations since President Carter to kind of protect the Christians of Lebanon. He worked with President Gemayel, Bashir Gemayel, may he rest in peace, and he worked with the late President Michel Aoun, with the former president, Michel Aoun, to try to assist in this matter. Now, as to establishing a Christian state, I don't know about that. If you establish something like this, you have to be able to defend the state,
to protect it,
and to protect it. And what we need now is mostly peace, peace more than a prospect of war. But at the same time, we need to have our rights, we need to have our powers, and because we belong to the same country, but there are differences, and these differences should be a good thing. And this diversity is the state that should be protected.
Dr. Hayek, anything else you want to get out to the people?
Thank you very much. And what I certainly hope is that the United States and the people of the United States can raise their voices and can rally in assistance to the Lebanese people that have been suffering and that have been fighting this war against terror for the past 50 years. In 1975, the war started in Lebanon, and we were fighting the same ISIS terror that all the Middle East and that the United States faced in 2001. So they should know that we are one of the trenches that started this act of defense and of protection of the free world. We started it in 75. We kept it until 90. We collapsed because the whole world dropped us because they thought we were a negligible entity. As a matter of fact, we were not a negligible entity. We were the people that were defending the values and the same values that we shared with the people of the United States and of Europe and with the people of the free world. So we need to go back, to stand back on our feet. We need to be assisted. And I hear call for the American people, for all the Christian believers in the United States, to talk to their senators, to talk to their congressmen, and to talk to the administration to say, you have people here that think like you, that act like you, that live like you. And Todd, you've been to Lebanon, and you come to this area. You know this is a free area. You know that you can go out and party until 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's a very safe area. Nobody would mug you on the streets. Nobody would mug you. I mean, people go out. You have alcohol everywhere, and people. Lebanon looks like any city in the United States.
It's true.
So this needs to be protected, and the people of the United States should know this, and should assist in this. And I cannot thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to talk on your channel.
Well, we'll see you again soon in country. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7. I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down, and doctors' offices were shut down, and even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer
marching home again. Hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then. Hurrah, hurrah, all the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out and will all.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I had that slide up because I wanted to give a shout out to the Wellness Company. We've talked a lot about their medical kits. This is their contagion kit. This is the emergency travel kit. I use this bad boy all the time. These are the spike support, ultimate spike detox, nattokinase, and other ingredients that can remove the spike protein of the vaccines in the COVID shedding from your body. Way to, possibly prevent turbo cancers and a lot of other things that this toxin in your body may be doing to you. So that's important if you've had somebody vaxxed many times. But let me bring that back up. This is another great product they have, which is ivermectin cream. This thing has been going off the shelves because it's ivermectin has been found to have other uses besides just parasitical removal, etc. But it actually works against arthritis and helps. Essentially, your body, arthritis is is kind of an autoimmune disease where your body is attacking itself, and this helps reduce the body's internal processes which attack your joints. So this thing is flying off the shelves. I'm telling you, we've sold, I don't know, probably 100 of these in the last 48 hours. It's amazing. So check this out. You can find this article on cdm.press, ivermectin and arthritis, or just go to twc.health/CDM and you can find it there. Let me bring that up. And if you use promo code CDM, you get 10% off the order. So twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM for the ivermectin arthritis cream, and use promo code CDM for 10% off. Let's talk about we've got a couple of other things. We're going to bring on David Cross, who is our resident financial advisor, to talk about the markets here in a second. But I just want to go over a couple stories and then we'll bring in David. I want to go back to this story, which we were in the middle of when we were talking to Attorney Woodall. He's talking about the delivery of these missiles, talking about the Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine could end badly for everyone. This is former Russian President Medvedev, who's kind of a hothead, but he wouldn't be saying this if the Kremlin didn't want it. And first and foremost, it'll be bad for Trump himself. It's been said 100 times in a way that even understandable to Trump that it is impossible to distinguish the nuclear version of the Tomahawks from the conventional one in flight. Their launch would not be carried out by the Kiev, but by the USA. How to respond to Russia exactly? How should Russia respond? This one can only hope that this is another empty threat caused by prolonged negotiations, like sending nuclear submarines closer to Russia. Well, anyway, it's kind of a sarcastic email, but his point is correct. This is a nuclear-capable missile that we're going to be giving to the Ukrainians. Zelensky is a criminal, so we're giving nuclear-capable weapons to a criminal regime in Ukraine. This just blows me away. If you want to end the war, we said many times, stop funding Kiev, end the war, focus on America, and let the Europeans handle it. They want to fight a war, let them handle it, but don't bring the U.S. into a global war. This is insanity. You don't get the Nobel Peace Prize for starting World War III. I'm sorry. So we're just going to say it, and we're going to say it loudly. Now, another story. Markets are all over the place this morning on the downside, primarily, at least before the show. They may have recovered, but I'm not sure. Trump, gave comments on China over the weekend, and it really messed with the markets. You had the biggest liquidation in crypto history, I think Friday afternoon. And this is continuing as Trump and China ramp up their escalation. China has gone for it. They've decided to destroy the U.S. economically and militarily by cutting off our access to rare earth minerals. And the question is, how did we get to this place where the U.S. has no pharmaceutical capability, has no chip capability, has no rare earth capability? This has been intentionally done by the globalist class, and that means the Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, and of course the Bidens. So we're in a pickle now, and China has said no more rare earths, which is everything, which is phones, which is military supplies, which is satellites, which is everything. So I don't know how this is going to go, but it looks like both sides are squaring off. So we need to pay attention to this. Another article which related to that is the silver market is becoming unhinged. And you had a lot of traders, and a lot of these trades in these futures markets for precious metals are done in the futures markets, which is you're buying a contract for the future, meaning like I'll deliver, I don't know, a kilo of silver at this price in 30 days. So that's how people lock in their prices, and these futures contracts trade. Well, what's happening now is there's no silver to buy because everybody's buying silver so rapidly mainly because of Trump's announcement, along with the the horrible situation the U.S. is in financially with the debt and with our reserve currency issues, and who knows how much gold is in Fort Knox. Silver is flying. It went above $50, and so you literally have people in London that can't find any silver to buy to close their contracts. So they're exposed big time. So they're flying plane loads of silver bars into London. This has never happened before. The financial markets are extremely dislocated at this point. So, we have talked about a lot on this show what to do about protecting your portfolio. If you go to cdmmetals.com, that's cdmmetals.com, you can get connected to Advisor Metals, fill out the form. We've had a lot of people come through, and they'll contact you. And I can tell you, it's a great conversation. We've had a lot of very good comments on Advisor Metals. Go to cdmmetals.com. You can get everything you want there. You can contact them. You get a free guide on how to invest in precious metals, and you get a great conversation with their team, which is always low key. And the big thing is they're patriots. We have talked to their banks. We've talked to their IRA custodians. If you want to put some of your 401k or IRA into precious metals, you can do that still in the tax-free wrapper. You can protect your hard-earned life's work in your retirement plan with precious metals. So they'll teach you how to do that. He's also the only regulated by the Commodities Future Commission, the only regulated silver dealer out there, a precious metals dealer. So talk to CDM or Advisor Metals at cdmmetals.com. If you call Advisor Metals direct, please tell them CDM sent you, because that's really important, so we get credit for the trade, and it's how we help fund our business. So thank you for that. Let's talk about another story in Georgia. Big problems. The Georgia party, Republican Party, is extremely corrupt. They are dwindling in size. They're running out of money. The grassroots are revolting and leaving the party, but they don't care because it's all about controlling access to the ballot and controlling the elections to keep their power structure intact. Whomever they are working for, whomever their puppet masters are, along with Governor Kemp and Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. This is literal evil going on in Georgia. The devil has gone down to Georgia. Sometimes I wonder where that song came from, but it's happening. And so what happened in the convention a few months ago, we detailed it in depth on our show. They completely railroaded the convention, literally blocked the microphones from anyone from coming up to make motions on the floor. And then the big political family in Georgia, the Frost family, were busted by the SEC for running a $140 million Ponzi scheme, essentially targeting Christians in Georgia, taking their money and spending it on lavish trips around the world and giving it to political candidates, and the money was gone. A lot of people, literally retirement people, lost millions. So you got farmers in Georgia who put all their money because the guy was a Christian, said he was taking care of you, and then was partying and spending your money and giving it to corrupt candidates, and then the money's gone. So unbelievable. But now they have decided to go after anyone who spoke up about what's going on in the convention is going to be thrown out of the Republican Party. And also David Cross, who's our resident financial advisor, is going to be possibly thrown out of the GOP per a resolution put forward by some of the GOP leadership in Georgia. Absolutely disgusting story. Georgia is like United Kingdom. Do you have the will to survive as a state, as a country? And it's iffy right now if the citizens of Georgia are going to put up with this or not. It's really, really, really bad. So we've talked about the peace deal. This is our article on our Israeli site talking about what's going on in Israel and the push for Zionism. You can go there and see the article on all the captives that were released. Fantastic. Glad for the families. I know that is just a huge relief. We've talked about that many times with our friend in Tel Aviv on the show, Niv Kaplan. I'm sure they're celebrating in Israel. But now you see extremists on both sides wanting to tank the deal. You've got Hamas, you've got literally gang fighting, different factions of Hamas killing each other in Gaza. And you've got Israelis saying that Hamas is not doing what they've said, what they agreed to. So, we should continue the war. This is going to be big because there's a big push to continue this war because they don't want the war to stop, because there's a much bigger agenda behind all these wars. And if you haven't it figured out yet, you got to keep listening to this show. We're going to take another break. We've been through a lot of details, but we're going to take a break, come back, and we'll talk to David Cross. And then I want to play a little bit of the Tucker interview with Alex Jones, because you need to hear that if you haven't. We'll be right back.
Watching my friends gain more and more weight. And then eventually, I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You are not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this. You take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, an investment advisory practice. I've been an advisor for nearly 30 years, and one of the questions I get asked most frequently is, do I have enough money relative to other people my age? And while that's an interesting question, it's also the wrong question. The right question is do you have enough money to sustain your lifestyle for the rest of your life? This is a question you should know the answer to. This is what we do. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big proud American Eagle logo.
We're slogging over Africa. Foot, slogging over Africa. Boot, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11.
Welcome back to the SCIF. We're going to play now a clip with David Cross from the Georgia show over the weekend. I hope you enjoy it. I think it's really relevant.
President Trump said, hey, this whole tariff thing, we're going to take it to the mat. And the stock market said, oh my gosh, I can't stand this. It dropped 20%. And then he later, came out and he didn't quite say just kidding, but it might as well have been the same, because the stock market shot straight up as if that had never been said. And we literally had the fastest 20% recovery in the history of the stock market. So we got some interesting things going on. But what happened this past Friday is we had the worst single day percentage drop since April of this year. I think it's one of the largest wealth destructions in the history of the stock market. I think it's like the 5th largest one in history. And it's only because we're so big right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the Dow Jones came down 2%. The S&P dropped to almost 3%. The NASDAQ came down 3.5%. And the semiconductor index came down about 6.5%. What's really interesting is that gold and silver held up on Friday. And for anybody who's been kind of out of the loop, gold I think is up something like 55% this year. I'm pretty sure silver is roughly in the same area. And gold right now is hovering around $4,000 an ounce, and silver touched 50, and right now the December contract is around $47.25. So gold and silver holding up well. Cryptocurrency came down a little bit. Stocks kind of came down. And the whole reason why this is happening is on the next slide. It's because President Trump came out and said, hey, China, we're going to hit you, with 100% tariff starting on November 1st.
Can I ask a question?
That's what precipitated this.
Can I ask one question for clarity before we move on, David, please? So you're quoting December gold and December silver. These are forward-looking numbers, yes? Could you just explain why you're using Decembers?
So here's the thing. If you look on some of the websites that are out there, like AppMex, and like JM Bullion and that kind of thing, they're quoting the spot market, which is what is silver trading for, like right now across the counter. Like if you walk into a jewelry store, into a coin dealer, into a bullion dealer, that's what it's selling for, like right this hot second. I just happen to keep up with what are the contracts for December delivery trading at. It's just what I kind of keep, what I keep track of.
I see. So it's it's sort of an expectation by the market as to what the price is likely to be at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody, if you own a silver mine or a gold mine, you can't get the gold out of the mine like today and sell it today. You're going to have to sell it, in a forward contract that maybe has delivery sometime in December. So this is what that price reflects.
Okay.
All right. So there's the cause right there. The president said, hey, we're going to bring on some massive new, import tariffs of 100% effective November 1st. And from where we're at right now, the stock market declined quite a bit because people are really concerned about this. If on Monday the president comes out, or Scott Bessent, Secretary Treasurer, the Treasury Secretary, goes to the president and says, Friday was terrible, and we have to like levitate the stock market, then there's a chance that they come out, next week and say, hey, that 100%, tariff we talked about, that maybe we're going to ease off of that a little bit. And if that happens, then we probably see stocks, rebound back higher. If they stick to their guns, we probably head lower because, we've got this government shutdown going on. And what that causes, that causes a contraction in the economy. The other thing that's happening is, stocks right now, there's a lot of overvalued stocks right now, particularly in the technology area, and they were kind of due for a little bit of a pullback. So you get a lot of these, confluences of events that, that kind of, come together all at the same time, and then you get what happened on Friday.
So, David, I think that was the largest crypto sell-off liquidation event in history, like Thursday, Friday.
I think the decline that happened on Friday, if I'm going from memory here, I think it was like a $2 trillion liquidation that happened in crypto.
Yeah.
And in the stock market, I think it was closer to like 3 or 3.5. I mean, it was quite a lot.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where I've really kind of become numb to what those nominal numbers mean, and I look simply at percentages.
Of course. Okay, just curious.
Sure. Next slide there, Bill. So right now, market breadth is poor. And breadth just means if you have 500 stocks that are out there and you only have 10 of them that are going up and the other 490 are either staying flat or going down, that's poor breadth. And what this chart indicates is that we have declining breadth, where it just means that, fewer stocks are going up, more stocks are, either staying the same or going down. So that's one of the measurement tools that we look at right now. And then the next slide shows volatility. So this is really interesting. So I have a client that passed away several years ago, and very wealthy guy. And he used to tell me, David, when the VIX is low, which is what the volatility index is, when the volatility is low, it's time to go. When the volatility is high, it's time to buy. And right now, volatility, as of last week, was at the lowest that I recall in a couple decades. So it was approaching, that number way down there at the bottom is 10, and that tiny little point that pops up on the screen down there, we had a 20% rise in volatility on Friday. So if we get more of this, then it means stock prices probably head lower.
That's interesting because that is because markets have been going straight up, essentially, right? That's why the volatility is at zero.
Yeah, it's down, and it's also because there are investment contracts out there that people can buy that are they're called structured notes.
Mm-hmm.
And when they construct these things, they are literally selling volatility. And when they sell volatility, it forces the price down. And when you get too much of that going on, it's just like anything else. If you have too many of these contracts that are produced, you eventually get to the point where the market can't soak it all up.
Yeah,
you can just get totally saturated.
Big
Next
margins
slide.
in those structured notes. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are huge margins. So I mean, if you happen to have an investment account at one of the large firms that's out there, one of the strange things that I saw when I used to work for one of the big name companies, I don't want to mention them because I don't want to get sued, is that you would buy this instrument that would say, oh, you're going to get like 100% of the upside of the S&P up to a cap of like 12%,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then if the S&P goes down, you participate to the first 10% to the downside, and then anything beyond that, you participate zero. And that sounds wonderful, but the problem is that if you get into a pickle and you need to get your hands on that money, those instruments are typically not particularly liquid. And if you do want to sell them, you end up taking a huge haircut or a discount. You don't get the value that's showing on your investment account at the time. You might take a discount of like 10 or 20%, depending upon who's willing to buy.
Yeah, it's you can just put the note together yourself, buy the underlying and buy the option yourself.
You can, but there's people like you and me that understand those kinds of things. But the average person that's out there, they're literally just following the advice of their financial advisor. And here's the thing: most financial advisors, I think, are good people. The issue is that there's not a lot of them that spend a huge amount of time trying to understand how the mechanics of the engine work.
Mm-hmm.
And
they may not have the tools to exercise the engine. Yeah. So
correct. All right, so the S&P is still near all-time highs. We're still within 3% of the all-time high. I wish I could zoom in on that far side. Maybe Bill can. I don't know, but anyway,
I can't do it on the fly, David. I'm sorry. I can for our recording. I can put it in later if you want to refer to it, and I will modify it and put in an extra slide that people can see.
No, that's okay. The concept with this slide is that you see the stock market, the S&P is moving up. And I have some short-term oscillators on the top, which are in red. There's a middle space there that's white. And then the longer-term oscillators are blue. So we have a very patriotic-looking red, white, and blue, pattern that's going on here. What we don't want to see is the opposite of that, which is blue, white, and red. If blue, white, and red is happening, it means that the stock market's headed down. You're probably in a protracted downtrend. And the precursor to that is what we saw on Friday, where the gray line that's on there represents the current price, and it's diving into the blue area. So this is just a tool that that we found useful, over time to understand kind of like what's happening with the pulse of the market. We're still near all-time highs. And again, remember, if the president comes out and says, hey, we were just kidding about those 100% tariffs, then there's no reason to believe. There's no reason not to believe that we could just see like a recovery right back up. I mean, that's kind of what we've seen so far this year. Again, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just telling you that we're dealing with volatility right now, and a lot of it has to do with what's going on in Washington.
Okay, it's interesting. You should bring that up, David, because this is not meant to surprise anybody, and it may not be exactly what you're referring to. But the president, within the last couple hours, did issue something that may have perhaps a little bearing on some of this. Let's take a look. So he brought out this at 12:43 p.m. today. Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. President DJT. So that doesn't exactly say we're backing off the tariffs, and it doesn't exactly have any implication for any movement, but perhaps we could characterize this as somewhat supportive, perhaps. I don't know. What do you think, given what you had mentioned earlier?
This is the equivalent of just kidding. This is, to me, this is kind of, now I wouldn't be surprised if we levitate, on Monday.
Well, crypto's already up like 3%. I was just looking. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so the president's got quite a few friends, that have made a lot of money on Wall Street. And so you just never know. I mean, maybe he gets a knock on the door, gets a telephone call.
I think that's exactly what's happening. I think he's very responsive to criticism and input from the right people, and obviously that happened. So I just want him to get the same input on the war. But
so one of the things I really want to check into is I believe we're at a point right now. I'm going to have to double check the statistics, but I believe 22 of the 50 states in the United States of America right now are in recession. If that's the case, that's not a good situation.
Mm-hmm. You had one more chart, by the way, to bring up that I jumped over. Let me.
Yeah, this is just dollar. So far this year, the dollar is down about 10%, roughly from its high point up there. That's good if you're a small manufacturer here in the U.S. Like if you're a Georgia business and you sell things overseas, well, now your stuff is 10% cheaper to people that are buying it in Europe. So if a European buyer is looking at your product versus a Chinese product and they're in the same ballpark, they're probably going to choose the U.S. made product because we have higher quality standards and better materials.
That's for sure.
That's
a lot better quality. Yeah.
All right. Here's where the sentiment is right now. So sentiment is declining rapidly. This is the CNN, fear and greed index, and I know we all hate CNN, but this particular tool is pretty good. Right now, it's flashing caution. And we went from just barely above greed about 2 weeks ago to where we are right now at the low end of fear and maybe going into extreme fear. So right now, the market's just kind of walking on eggshells. And it means that we should have caution. You need to have caution when things are experiencing extreme greed. And you also need to have caution when we're at this fear level, because you could see fear develop into panic. And if panic happens, then we could potentially, flush lower.
All the more reason we needed you on today, David. Thank you.
Listen, I'm happy to help. If anybody out there needs a second opinion on your situation, reach out and call me. Or if you haven't looked at your investment statements in a little while, call your own advisor and find out what's going on.
So, David, we're in a situation where I think a lot of people have made a lot of money. And I found that's when you really need advice versus when when it's easy to, like, when the market's got killed and you're going to buy that. But right now, there's a lot of risk, and that's when the advisors make their money. So talk about how you would walk through that with somebody, please.
Yeah, so for us, everything begins with understanding where you are now, where you need to be in the future. And our job is to kind of plot the course, using a financial planning model to help make sure that you can, retire. You can hopefully meet your objectives without running out of money before you run out of life, because that would be really terrible. So our job is to help you figure that out. So we're going to look at your investment, your investment portfolio, your overall plan, and figure out, are you on track to get there? And then the next thing we do is we're trying to plot the course to get there with as little, volatility as possible.
Well, you learn on Wall Street that the first thing to do in making money is not to lose any. And so you may have people that have made a lot of money look good. And I just I would like to say to our audience, now's the time to give David a call to make sure you meet your goals, but reduce your risk. I mean, that's really important in my opinion.
Absolutely. We're happy to help anybody that's out there. We are proud patriots, and we love working with folks that share conservative viewpoint.
And we've had a lot of really good feedback on David for our audience, so we highly recommend. So thank you for coming on, David.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Any other thoughts as we go forward? You know, we're in the October time frame, and I know that some people begin to have certain things that they begin to look at, and I don't want to delve into something that's not appropriate to talk about, but are there things that, again, might cause people to say, maybe it is a good time to, do a little bit more research as to my position and so forth in terms of getting set up for the end of the year?
Yeah, so I mean, we actually begin doing a lot of tax planning right now, and we like to harvest any kind of losses that we might have to offset gains. We've been very blessed by having pretty sizable gains, and we don't have a lot of losses to offset it. So that's a tough situation to be in, where if you're concerned the market's going to come down, then you end up having to sell some things that have got some capital gains to them. But sometimes, particularly with some of our clients that are charitably inclined, we might suggest that you make some donations of highly appreciated securities to your favorite charities, and that makes it so you don't have to pay the capital gains, or you don't have to sell something, pay the capital gains, pay the taxes, and it's a more efficient way to handle things. So we try to be as tax sensitive as possible with our investment management.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. Any last messages or thoughts, David?
Oh, no, the only last message I got is that somebody is apparently, Dennis Futch is apparently calling for my expulsion from the Georgia Republican Party, because I apparently led, a band of, pitchfork wielding, torch bearing people that said, hey, I want my money back from that convention. It was not really a convention. It was political theater. And so they're seeking my removal and expulsion for life. I didn't realize I was on these people's minds that much. So it's interesting what's going on there. I apparently live inside their heads.
Rent free, probably as well.
Rent free.
All right. Well, we'll keep an ear to the ground for that, and hopefully that will be seen as what it is, which is nothing more than more theater. All right, David. Thank you again for being with us.
Take care.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world, because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and Ira. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio, because You really need to. It's coming. Thank you. Sports fans, we've got a problem here. There we go. A quirk in the system has caused us some weird stuff going on today. Apologize for that, but we'll try to resolve it with our vendor. Before we get to the next segment, the holidays are coming. I know everybody knows somebody who has that person or gal who has everything, and you just don't know what to get them. So I do. Check out my book, Currency. Fantastic read. And also Paying the Price, The Untold Story of the Iranian Resistance. Very timely right now. Get both of those, and the person will be set up for some time in what they need to read. And they will enjoy it, and they'll thank you for it. We always get really good comments on the books, and the reviews are off the charts. Fantastic, actually. I think there's, maybe close to 600 reviews on Currency now. I think it's around a 4.5-ish on the scale. I mean, some people don't like it. We get a lot of liberal attacks on the books because they're so prescient that people just are amazed. Anyway, let's get into the next segment. We've talked about all this. Actually, there's one story I wanted to actually, we'll do that after this last segment. We've got a story on the or the Duke and Duchess of Sussex that we want to give, but I'm going to play a little bit of the interview with Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson last night, because I think it's important to realize what we're facing here, guys. This is not just, George Floyd, Summer of Love again. This is a full-blown civil unrest, Marxist revolution, could lead to civil war. That's what they want. So you need to know what's going on. So please tell your friends about this too. But here we go.
Threat to everybody. People should just get on board and get hardcore, or be absolute feudal slaves if you're lucky.
How do you get on board?
You understand, and you research the Great Reset, and you research Larry Fink, now the head of the World Economic Forum. You realize 3 years ago, the UN made the World Economic Forum co-equal to its governing body and its councils. And you understand, if you actually read their writings, the future isn't human. People are bad. Families are bad. We're going to have these AI gods that take over. I mean, it is just the wildest thing that Lex Luthor in a comic book couldn't come up with. This is beyond supervillain stuff. This is real super demon stuff. And you have to identify the attack you're under and that it's deliberate. Then you have to mobilize and get good legislators and governors and others elected. Populists are getting elected all over the world. People are really waking up to this. And we have now these attorney generals winning court cases in Texas and other places where BlackRock tried to come in and say, we're not going to have any investment in your state if you don't get rid of fossil fuels. And then Texas sued Kim Paxton and said, this is racketeering. This is illegal. They won the court cases. It is. Because Larry Fink says this is about control, and we're going to control you. And they control us by managing our money. Well, now a bunch of states are pulling their pension funds from BlackRock. And now Larry Fink is singing a different tune, at least publicly, and they pulled some of their DEI and some of the ESG stuff, which is the corporate governance. When you wonder why, whether you're in Australia, Germany, the US, or Canada, it's the same policies, the same programs, the same drag queen story times, the same take a knee during the national anthem. All of this comes out of them literally trying to demoralize us, because if we have a free, open society, people around the world are going to want that. And you can't have a control group where there's some free, prosperous Western nations, everybody else slaves under BlackRock and the globalists. That's why you've got to take down the West so there's nowhere to run.
I think that's exactly right. You can't have different systems, radically different systems in a globalized world. Can you?
No, and so exactly. So there's a fight between, do you want the 1984 civilization or do you want the 1776 civilization? 1776 isn't going back. It's back to the future. It was the flower of the Renaissance and the greatest expression of hundreds and hundreds of years of the Great Awakening and of the Enlightenment. And so it's a continuation of that. We have to get back to the future, back to the avant-garde, back to what produces the most freedom, the most wealth. Classical liberalism of Thomas Jefferson. Now, modern liberalism is totalitarian, anti-family, anti-speech, anti-self-defense, anti-private property. Modern liberalism is a totalitarian, death cult, transhumanist, poison to sabotage human civilization. It's a depopulation program. 1776 is the ultimate, most successful push of humans to produce the very best atmosphere of liberty and freedom and competition and empowerment. The problem is, in the cycle, as you know, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make bad times. The problem is that, are we good enough? It was Benjamin Franklin, right? If they finally, years later, after the Declaration of Independence and the Bill Constitution, finally got the Bill of Rights done, and he was walking out, and the newspaper reporter said, "Mr. Franklin, do we now finally have our nation?" And he said, "Yes, you have your republic if you can keep it." And he said, and so did Jefferson, he said, you got to have informed, involved, educated people. And Jefferson wrote about this constantly. He said, not just informed about math or Latin, but you got to have people that are farmers. You got to have, people that actually know how to skin a buck and run a trot line. He said, if you ever get people where they're not physically out there able to run and control their whole lives, the so-called education doesn't matter because they're just educated idiots. So you've got to have that multifacetedness where people have to really, and people think of that as work. No, it's empowering to really try to be what Thomas Jefferson talked about. And then when you go through what Jefferson went through, some of us have gone through similar things now, not to that extent, but close. Then you read Jefferson, you realize we're back in that same time of change and revolution again. It's our revolution. We have the ball. We're selling the best system. We have the proven track record. We're the good guys. And we've got to stand up and make the choices clear, plant our flag and say, this is the hill to die on, and we will win.
We've got a new partner. It's a company called Cowboy Colostrum. It's a brand that is serious about actual health, and the product is designed to work with your body, not against your body. It is a pure and simple product, all natural. Unlike other brands, Cowboy Colostrum is never diluted. It always comes directly from American grass-fed cows. There's no filler, there's no junk. It's all good. It tastes good, believe it or not. So before you reach for more pills for every problem that pills can't solve, we recommend you give this product, Cowboy Colostrum, a try. It's got everything your body needs to heal and thrive. It's like the original superfood, loaded with nutrients, antibodies, proteins, help build a strong immune system, stronger hair, skin, and nails. I threw my wig away and right back to my natural hair after using this product. You just take a scoop of it every morning in your beverage, coffee, or a smoothie, and you will feel the difference every time. For a limited time, people who listen to our show get 25% off the entire order. So go to cowboycolostrum.com, use the code Tucker at checkout, 25% off when you use that code Tucker at cowboycolostrum.com. Remember, you heard it here first. The way to derail that kind of response, that kind of consciousness, is by creating like total chaos in your country. And the second that happens, the second it's dangerous to drive on I-95 or I-5, then people can't think clearly at all. And they just become purely reactive.
Or have COVID lockdowns. And put masks on little kids.
Exactly. And I think you've described the Trump record right. Like, moving in the right direction, flaws, but moving in the right direction. The way to derail all of that is not the midterm elections. It's some kind of civil strife. Do you think that's coming?
Well, Russia was right to lead off with. I didn't know we were going to lead off with, but I think that was the most important thing. We didn't really talk much before this. And the next place I wanted to go was the Podesta plan.
What is the Podesta plan?
Well, when I talk about this, I get chills because in August of 2020, Breitbart wrote about it, the Daily Caller wrote about it, but the New York Times wrote about it first. And Podesta does this big Democrat Party war game.
Which Podesta? John
Podesta.
Former White House Chief of Staff, yep.
Absolutely. And then later the climate czar for Biden, or giving up the climate money, stealing it. He comes out of this huge report. They published the whole thing. And I'm reading like this, it was like 70 pages or something. And they say, if Trump wins in 2020, this is in August, months before, which they were able to steal it, so he didn't. He said, we're going to have Western states secede. We're going to have blue cities secede, but we'll start with the Western states, California, Oregon, and Washington. And we'll call it over migrants and sanctuary cities and healthcare at first, which they're now doing. I'm getting chills because it's all happening. Like you go to a play and you're reading, oh, the next act is this. And Romeo and Juliet, I mean, it's all right there. And they say, if he wins, we will say it's illegitimate. We will have blue states first secede and that they're going to be sanctuary cities for the illegals. Then when there's civil unrest, which they'll furnish, Trump will send the National Guard, and then there'll be a massacre of the migrants. And then we will kick off a civil war. Then all the blue cities across the country will secede. Then New York, Massachusetts, and others will secede. And we'll form what we call the Western Alliance. And we will then, the U.S. military will be with us because they control the generals. People that don't think otherwise, that was Trump's big mistake he found out. Most of them are globalists at the top, not your enlisted, they're great people. And that they would then form a military alliance if Trump didn't stand down, and they would march on D.C. And then they made a movie produced 2 years ago, they released last year, called Civil War, that is the last act of the Podesta Plan. That's in a 2+ year civil war, race-based. At the end, they go and, the black female sergeant kills the Trumpian figure in the White House. And that's because evil white people are out massacring brown people across the country. So the U.S. military reconvenes under a Gavin Newsom's command type. And then they come in and then they take over the country, and then they re-educate all the evil right-wingers and evil white people. And then I saw Gavin Newsom on Colbert about 3 weeks ago, and he said, oh, we're forming, and they hold a map up, the Western Alliance, and it's for migrants and healthcare, and we're getting ready to go on offense. And Colbert goes, he does that demon face, he goes, and the whole crowd goes, because they're all read in on this. We have countless videos at rallies in Austin and Denver and New York where the left goes, soon Trump and Homan will kill a bunch of us. And when they do, that's when the uprising begins. So they're all read in on this. They all know it is the Podesta Plan. They all know it's the Western Alliance. They all know it's the Western Offense. And so you have the Soros NGO-funded No Kings events, like they had on the 14th of June, when the guy that worked for Tampon Tim went around reportedly, killing senators and state reps there at the state level. He later told the FBI and wrote a letter saying, no, I did this for the Democrats as a false flag, so that Tim Walz could, play victim. He supposedly had a bunch of accomplices, but they didn't help him. They caught his wife and a bunch of people with passports, guns, and money, fleeing the area. But within 2 hours of the attack, they had his roommate on TV saying, he loved Trump and Alex Jones. Isn't that interesting? It's all very scripted. But my point is, now you have the No Kings this weekend, and we now have Schumer on Monday, went on MSNBC and said, we need to have a forceful uprising. We need to have a forceful uprising. What's the exact quote? My producer's over there. So this is chilling. And he said he wants to keep the shutdown going at least until next Saturday, the 18th, to get the maximum amount of anger that they can get. You have Hakeem Jeffrey saying similar things. So they're not even hiding any of this anymore.
So the idea is to whip their supporters into a frenzy, basically do BLM 5 years later.
Yes, but on a much wider scale. And so when you have, here, I'll put the actual quote. When you actually have, as I have it posted on my Extra Law Shows, when you have these guys openly saying this, I mean, this is as big a deal as it gets. I mean, this is just,
when Senator Chuck Schumer.
Forceful uprising. I want to get it exactly right. Forceful uprising.
Chuck Schumer called for a forceful uprising?
Forceful uprising because of the indictment of Letitia James on mortgage fraud.
But I mean, it sounds like Letitia James committed mortgage fraud.
Well, they're only gone after in Virginia so far. New York, as you know, is even worse. And what's crazy is we have all the public documents, total fraud, like 4 residences as primary residence, residences that she says are single family homes, and there's 5 people, 5 apartments in it. I mean, this is serious fraud. So everything she accused Trump of doing baselessly, she's now doing, and she's the chief.
Well, that's always the way, Alex, isn't it?
Exactly. Total inversion. So everything they've accused Trump of is what they're actually doing. And then she's been caught, and now they're whining. CNN the other day said, well, everybody engages in mortgage fraud. Well, I don't.
No, I don't engage in mortgages and much less fraud. No, but it is always just like when Bill Kristol accused me of backing an ethno state. I was like, no, I'm not the one who backs the ethno state. So Chuck Schumer saying a forceful uprising he wants a forceful uprising.
He called this weekend for a forceful uprising, close quote, on MSNBC. He goes, we need to have a forceful uprising to this, similar to his, you've reaped the whirlwind thing, you're going to get it. So they're obviously agitating for more violence. You see the governor candidate in Virginia, after the AG candidate, who's been in the lead, said, I want to kill these state reps, I want to kill their children, I want to kill cops. And then the other gubernatorial candidate asked the lady, will you decry him calling for killing members of the legislature and their children by name? And she said, nope.
Abigail Spanberger.
Yeah.
I think it was a CIA officer at one point.
It's totally insane. And she sits there with this bizarre look on her face. I mean, these people are doing this on purpose, and it's called the Podesta Plan. And so I'm sure the Pentagon knows about this. The problem is most of those top generals are globalists. People that don't know, they've been put through all the schools. They don't get promoted unless they're globalists. Most of our generals have been bad since the 90s. They teach them at the Army War College. I've read these reports that literally America needs to end. We need to be part of a world government. The communism is good.
So let's just narrow it down. If you really believe that widespread civil unrest preparatory to civil war is coming, if Chuck Schumer, one of the senior senators, is calling for it, then you really need to make sure the military is under control, that it's not politicized, that it's not, that it reports to the president as it's constitutionally mandated to do. Like the military is the key, correct?
Yes, and I loved Hegseth's speech, and that's the right direction, but we need more of that. And a lot of the generals were rolling their eyes, giggling, putting their heads in their hands. And I guarantee you just go, okay, who's that guy? Look at his record. He's going to be a commie, a leftist.
But wouldn't you, it would be almost an emergency situation. You would need to make certain that the general officers in your military were loyal to the Constitution.
Exactly. And the left and the corporate media act like if Trump wants prosecutions, he's not supposed to do that. No, he's a chief law enforcement officer. We elected him for that. We elect one man in the general election. All of us have an ability to vote for only one position. And so it's not Trump's right. It's his duty. It's only the president that makes a special oath, not to just protect, preserve, and defend, but protect and defend like the rest of the military do, but to protect and preserve and defend. He's supposed to preserve the republic. So 400 troops to Chicago, 200 to Portland. This is nothing. They're openly waiting to gear up the violence. Then they're going to false flag, I believe, some of the illegal aliens or traditional black college, which I predicted this before. They evacuated the traditional black colleges a month ago. And said,
I didn't even know that. Why?
And said Charlie Kirk's supporters are coming to kill you. Then it turned out it was a false flag. They admitted fake calls. That's the left, because Carville and Podesta and all of them, John Podesta, have said on TV, now that they've gone live with the Podesta Plan when Trump was president-elect, and then once he got in, there's hundreds of videos of them all on there saying, Carville, now listen, it's 1776 part 2. I can't really do his voice. Can't do a Louisiana voice, sorry. He said, black people got to be ready. Trump's coming to kill you with Tom Homan. You got to have your guns and be ready. The View, we got to be ready to fight and die. They're coming to kill us. On CNN, they'll be sitting there debating, yeah, Trump's coming with the military to kill black people and Hispanics. Then I think, well, where could there be a group of Hispanics, an illegal alien demonstration or something, then somebody from a parking garage mows a bunch of them down, blames it on some Trump supporter, or where is a bunch of black folks by themselves, traditional black college? So I've been saying that for 8-9 months, seeing their programming, how they're saying Trump's going to kill masses of Hispanics and blacks. Well, we're going to do a false flag, those two places, and a few others. Then a month ago, they evacuated most of the black colleges for a week, saying Charlie Kirk supporters are coming to kill you, trying to piggyback on that and create this illusion that Trump supporters blamed black people for this. No, we blame, if you believe the official story, some trans supporter cult members. So absolutely, going back to your point, there needs to be Pentagon mobilization. Trump needs to address the nation on this, talk about the Podesta Plan. Any of his crew, I can send it to him, can put a reel together like he did when they said no South African farmers are being killed. He just showed a 5-minute video, devastated them. I can send them a 10-minute clip of hundreds of clips of top Democrats saying Trump's coming to kill the migrants, he's coming to kill the blacks, we got to rise up, we got to have a civil war. And then I can show the quotes from the Podesta plan laying this out. This is the official Democrat.
I'm watching my friends gain more and more weight. And then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back, cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, an investment advisory practice. I've been an advisor for nearly 30 years, and one of the questions I get asked most frequently is, do I have enough money relative to other people my age? And while that's an interesting question, it's also the wrong question. The right question is do you have enough money to sustain your lifestyle for the rest of your life? This is a question you should know the answer to. This is what we do. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big proud American Eagle logo.
We have foot, slog, 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 slogging over Africa. Foot, 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 slogging over Africa. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Hope you enjoyed it today. I want to talk about one more story. This is on our paper in New York City, the Manhattan.Press. And it is about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who were given the Humanitarian of the Year award for their work on mental health on social media with children. That's all good. Social media is dangerous for children, but these two people are not really interested in the health of the world. They're more interested in helping the globalists control the world, in my opinion. And so what is all this about? The focus on mental health, we've seen it in Georgia and elsewhere, and it's really about control. It's a control mechanism, because if you can put people in prison because of mental health, then it's an issue. So this whole push for mental health, you got to be very, very aware of. So I just wanted to make you aware of that story. And if you go to the top menu on the Manhattan.Press and hit the Manhattan bestsellers, it will give you our answer to the New York Times bestsellers list. There's no bias here, just the best-selling books. There's some editors' picks at the top. But if you go down, for instance, adult nonfiction, there that is everything that's just selling the best. Adult fiction, politics, history, young adult fiction and nonfiction, children's fiction and nonfiction, just the best books. And if you want to get one of the books, you can just hit checkout, and it takes you to the CDM bookstore. And then at the top, you can order any book from us. And you help support free media, and you don't give it to the people who want to kill you. So anyway, just wanted to make you aware of that. Hope you enjoyed the SCIF today. We'll have a bang-up show tomorrow. Got Pete Blaber. He was supposed to come on today, but he's shifted to tomorrow due to travel. We'll do the Ukraine sit-rep. There's so much going on there. I can't wait to talk to Pete And we've got some other special guests coming tomorrow as well. So we'll see you then. We're on Monday through Friday, 10 to noon Eastern on the SCIF, and we're on podcast. We're on Gettr, X, Rumble. We post the show on YouTube. We're everywhere we can be that will allow us to be. Please help us grow our social media channels. If you are on Rumble, please sign up for CDM1, subscribe, and also on YouTube. We need more numbers there. We need to get our tens of thousands that we lost when we were deplatformed. So please follow us on YouTube, even if you don't watch us there. Same on X. Follow our CDM_press channel, please, on X, and me at Real L. Todd Wood on X. Really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.